It was such an interesting quarter to look back at data center in particular. CPU strength, not just accelerators, strong AI outlook on accelerators, gaming, PC, and then some concern about the future of the China business. But Caroline and I, Lisa, have talked for quite a while now about AMD as the best performing chip stock so far this year. I wondered if we start by just asking what in the quarter changed for AMD, what the kind of biggest move forward was, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, Ed and Caroline, great to be here with you. We always, look at these things and say, when we have a business where all of our businesses are actually performing extremely well, it's a good place to be. So we had a very strong first half of the year. Second quarter up 32% year over year. We're guiding to a third quarter, up 28%. And underneath that, what you see is, first of all, data center business is doing extremely well. Our server CPUs are continuing to gain share in cloud and in enterprise. One of the things that we're seeing with AI is the AI investments from the largest hyperscalers are actually pulling, both GPU and CPU revenue, which is good for us overall. Agentic AI actually requires lots and lots of compute going forward. We're also seeing strength in PCs as well as gaming. Our products are extremely well positioned, whether you're talking about consumer or commercial. And then we're also seeing some improvement in the embedded side of our business, as that is also going to I would say return to growth in the second half of the year. So we've seen a lot of positive signals over the last 90 days in terms of what the market needs from computing and sort of the investment things. There are some questions about China, of course, which we can certainly talk about.
Well, let's talk first about the AI accelerator outlook, because actually from analysts to investors to the developer community, when we say that you're coming on the show, we get questions from all quarters. You had said that the AI accelerator business will grow to the tens of billions. And what I'm kind of seeing is people just want granularity from you, Lisa, a little bit. Like, when does that happen and where does it happen? And you talked about the hyperscalers, but what's the growth pathway to tens of billions in accelerator revenue?
Yeah, absolutely, Ed. So let me give you a few important markers. So what we said is the second half of the year, our growth would be primarily driven in the data center by accelerators. We launched a new product just in June, MI355 product. It's extremely competitive. We really like how we stack up in terms of total cost of ownership for inferencing and training workloads. Customers really like that product. That's driving some of our second half growth. And certainly when we talk about our sequential growth into Q3, that's being primarily driven by that accelerator capability. And now when you extend forward, I've said that the AI TAM for accelerators in data center will be over 500 billion over the next couple of years. We expect to get a large portion of that new accelerator TAM, and that's how we get to tens of billions of dollars. Very key is also, we've accelerated our roadmap, and so we are on an annual cadence. And next year, we'll have yet a new capability with our MI400 series, which will bring full rack level solutions, which will be another giant step forward in terms of capability for AI solutions. So I think that's the roadmap and path for the next couple of years. We're really excited about the traction. We're getting lots of customer validation saying, hey, you're on absolutely the right path. And we're making strong progress towards those goals.
Lisa, the granularity that was demanded time and time again on that earnings call with analysts was around China, though. And I know it's so hard to give because in many ways, this MI308 is dependent on the licenses from the US government. But how are those discussions going with the US government? How quickly do you think they can get through the backlog?
Yeah, Caroline, definitely. Look, I know people always want precision, and what I will give you is exactly how things are playing out from our standpoint. I think we've seen an improvement over the last 90 days. 90 days ago, we did not expect to be able to ship to China because of some of the regulations. I think this administration, the Department of Commerce, the government has actually been very open to trying to find the right balance between national security and and ensuring that we have AI, U.S. AI technologies proliferated across the world. So we think that's a great balance. We now know that we have a number of licenses that are under review. We've been given good indications that those are moving through the review process. And we will certainly inform everyone when the licenses are granted. But given that it's hard to predict exact timing, just given all of the things that are in front of the government at the moment, we thought the right thing to do right now is just say, hey, let's not include that in the third quarter revenue. But even with that, we're growing 28% year over year, which is, fantastic growth rate. And if you asked me, what we've learned in the last 90 days, we've learned that the demand is even stronger in the second half of the year than we necessarily, thought maybe just a few months ago.
And analysts really corroborated and thought it was right that we should see such caution perhaps and not show up in the numbers. But Lisa, I'm interested in the inventory that you had been very clear about, the $800 million knock on the fact that you couldn't access China for a while. I know that most of those manufacturing hadn't been complete, but do you think you can unwind that 800 million? How much do you think can you bring that back to bear?
Well, we certainly expect that once licenses are approved, that we will, restart our supply chain and, get those in place. We do have, a bit of time that it takes to complete those, but we would expect to be able, to ship some of those products as licenses are approved. And, again, the exact timing will depend on when licenses are approved. But I, again, would hope that we don't get caught up in, something that I would say is moving actually in the right direction, and really see like the overall business is doing extremely well, right? When I look at data center growth, when I look at client and gaming growth, and really the return to growth in the embedded, those are the key aspects to really, understand about where the business is today.
Lisa, the final question that we have on China, if I may, is something that we've also discussed quite often with NVIDIA and Jensen Huang, which is the idea that in the interim period you just outlined, China's domestic chip makers have made some progress on their own accelerators. Does AMD make an assessment of that, of how performant a comparable Huawei or other Chinese accelerator is relative to the MI300 family?
Ed, of course. I mean, look, it's a very competitive market out there. At the end of the day, everybody wants AI computing. Like AI computing is the foundation for all the great things that we know that AI can add to businesses and sort of the overall capabilities. So yes, we're always looking at the competitive environment. That being the case, I think we are well positioned. Overall, our roadmap for the rest of the world is very strong, and we think is just getting stronger as we go forward. And as it relates to China, it's something that we have to work through with the administration. But as I said, we've had very close conversations, and we're making good progress there. So from that standpoint, I think the overall competitiveness of our AI roadmap has never been stronger. And we're excited about what we can deliver across, AI GPUs, as well as, our CPU franchise and all of the rest of our portfolio.
This is Bloomberg Tech, live on Bloomberg Television and Bloomberg Radio, and we're speaking with AMD's CEO, Lisa Su. Strong in PC, strong in server, particularly CPU. Is that an AMD capturing market share story, or is that just a rebound in demand generally story, Lisa?
Well, I think it's both, Ed. I think the demand is good. I think the demand patterns are better, but clearly we're very competitive with our products. I think we have leadership CPUs in both server and client. We've shown significant traction in cloud as well as enterprise. And I think going forward, you're going to see enterprise customers want the best solution out there, and that is AMD for computing.
And gaming, Lisa, so strong. I'm interested into the nuance of pull forward, because you said on the call that you didn't see a whole lot of pull forward, of people trying to get ahead of tariffs and price increases. But did you see any?
Very little, Caroline. I think what we look at mostly is not just what we're selling in to customers, but we actually look at what's being sold out at end customers. And what we're seeing being really transferred to end customers is good demand. I mean, people are refreshing their data centers, which is very positive, right? We're in a place where computing is important, and so we're seeing strong refresh cycles on the data center side. We're seeing strong pull-through of our solutions in the enterprise, in PC. And then from a gaming standpoint, again, we have a very strong product cycle. So, it's always hard to tell exactly what the impact of the current tariffs are, but I would say that that's the smaller part of the impact on our business. The larger part is just strong products, very good traction from customers, and looking at a stronger second half of the year.
A stronger second half of the year where you take some market share from NVIDIA. Lisa, how are you seeing that grow out and the ability to compete with the next range of chips?
We are very bullish on our overall roadmap capability. I think the second half of the year has a number of customers, really, broadly adopting AMD.
Lisa, I have a question from our audience, if that's okay, a viewer of Bloomberg
Sure.
Tech. And as you know, like loads of AMD employees, your peers, technology industry people want to hear what you have to say. I'm just going to read it to you. Can Lisa please explain, AMD's winning in gaming and consoles, but AI is where the margins are now. What's the plan to make AMD indispensable to the next OpenAI and not just cost-effective alternative, I think, to NVIDIA is what they're saying?
Well, Ed, the best way to say that is for those of you who know us as a company, we execute extremely well. Our roadmaps are strong. We're very excited about all of the progress that we've made. MI300 was an excellent product. MI350 is a big increase above that. And then our next generation is also. And the key for us, if you look at our history is doing what we say we're going to do, delivering to customers, delivering total cost of ownership, and with that, being a great partner. And so from that standpoint, I think you can be very confident that we have a strong roadmap and we're going to execute on it well. And, our largest customers want to have a dependable and, good partner.